Good morning, everyone. I hope that you and all your loved ones are keeping well and staying healthy. My warmest welcome to all of you at the third virtual AGM in compliance with the provisions of the Companies Act 2013, read with circulars dated 8th April 2020, 13th April 2020, 5th May 2020, 13th January 2021, and 5th May 2022 issued by MCA, and circulars dated 12th May 2020, 15th January 2021, and 13th May 2022 issued by SEBI, which exempts physical attendance of the members to the AGM venue. We have with us Mr. Manish Gupta, Chairman and Managing Director of the company, Mr. Sandeep Agrawal, Srimati Sulochana Gupta, Ms. Maitri Mehta, and Mr. N. Giridhar, CFO of the company. We also have with us Mr. Sandeep Singhi, who is the Chairman of the Audit Committee and Nomination and Remuneration Committee, and Mr. Vishwaveer Sarandas, who is the Chairman of the Stakeholders Relationship Committee of the company. We also have Mr. Arpit Patel, partner Arpit Patel and Associates, who are the statutory auditors of the company. Mr. Neeraj Trivedi, who are secretarial auditors of the company and scrutinizers of the e-voting process of this AGM. We have the requisite quorum present to conduct the proceedings of this meeting. Participation of members through VC is being reckoned for the purpose of quorum as per circulars issued by MCA and SEBI and Section 103 of the Companies Act 2013. The quorum being present, I call this meeting to order. Before we start, some few general instructions for joining this meeting. Facility for joining this meeting through VC is made available for the members on first come first serve basis. All the shareholders who are attending the meeting are by default placed on mute mode to avoid any disturbance and ensure smooth and seamless conduct of the meeting. Once the question answer session begins, the chairman will first answer those questions which were received in advance. Thereafter, the name of the speaker shareholders will be announced who have registered as speaker shareholders. The speaker shareholders will thereafter be unmuted. Each speaker shareholder will be given 5 minutes to speak. Members who have registered themselves as speaker will only be allowed to ask queries during the AGM. When a shareholder starts speaking, she is requested to click the video on button and unmute. While speaking, the speaker shareholders is requested to use the earphones so that he or she is clearly audible. If there is any connectivity problem for a speaker shareholder, we will ask the next speaker to join in and speak. Once the connectivity improves, the shareholder will be reconnected again to speak. The company had provided the facility to cast the votes electronically on all the resolutions set forth in the notice. The remote e-voting commenced at 9 a.m. on 9th August 2022 and ended at 5 p.m. on 11th August 2022. The company provided remote e-voting facility to all the members as on 2nd August 2022, being the cutoff date to vote on all the 6 resolutions set forth out in the notice. Members attending the AGM today who have not cast their votes by remote e-voting are entitled to vote through CDSL e-voting portal, which will remain open up to 30 minutes from the close of this AGM. The combined results will be announced and placed on the website of the company and CDSL. The results along with the scrutinizer report shall be submitted to NSE and BSE and will also be placed on the website of the company. As the meeting is convened through VC today, resolutions have already been put to vote through remote e-voting and the requirement to propose and second is not applicable. The documents referred to in the notice and explanatory statement, Register of Directors and KMP, Register of Contracts or Arrangements have been made available electronically for inspection by the members. As the AGM is being conducted through VC, the facility for appointment of proxies by the members was not applicable and hence the proxy register is not available for inspection. Members are requested to refer to the instructions provided in the notice for seamless participation through VC. In case members face any difficulty, they may reach out on the helpline numbers mentioned in the notice. I request the team to play a brief presentation on company.
I would take a moment to congratulate each and every citizen of this country and urge them to feel the pride as a nation. We all have been through multiple courses of events in this journey, but have come out to be a stronger than ever before. On behalf of the entire team at GAEL, we wish you all best for the future, and let's make the country proud together. The past year was filled with unique landmark beginnings for the company, even though the deadly second wave was followed by deep sense of uncertainty in the minds of people. We were committed to grow and give back to our shareholders to the best of our ability. Maize processing. In the maize processing division, we advanced and concerted our dream of becoming a pan-India company by turning our Malda project into a reality. The largest state-of-the-art corn wet milling facility is all set to commission in the third quarter of year with full capacity of starch and derivatives. We also started the construction of 1200-ton greenfield corn wet milling facility at Sitarganj in Uttarakhand unit, making it the largest corn wet mill in the country ever with a total capacity of 1900 tons per day. This facility will commission in the later part of next year. We further our sorbitol projects at Hubli and Sitarganj with both facilities to be commissioned in the fourth quarter of this year. This will make GAEL the largest sorbitol manufacturer in Asia outside China with a total capacity of 500 TPD. Lastly, we also revamped all our maize processing units with new captive power plants to support our expansion and diversification. In the agro processing division, we relaunched our flagship brand Ambuja Gold with a fresh look and product range. The brand now encompasses a range of edible oil, soya chunks, flours. We also revamped our flour mill capacity at Kadi, which will now add wheat flour to our product offering. We recognize that it is imperative to create an agile, professional and diversified organization to deliver consistent and profitable growth. We have significantly stepped up our organizational capabilities in the last few years to ensure our human capital is aligned with the business growth. We believe that our employees are future leaders and try our best to make them realize their full potential. The relentless commitment and dedication of every member of the company helped the business overcome many challenges in the past year. As a result, we have been able to bring down the curtains on the financial year 21-22 with a robust set of numbers. The operational revenue for 21-22 stood at 4,670 crore rupees, EBITDA at 740 crore rupees, net profit stood at 475 crore rupees, and export sales at 1,115 crore rupees. Along with being a zero debt company. CSR. Our CSR activities during the year were carefully devised and consistent with the priority areas outlined by the Government of India, and accordingly the company has spent in various sectors during the year, which included environment sustainability, promotion of sanitation, education, prevention of healthcare, making available safe drinking water, development of rural areas, promoting women empowerment, and various other sectors for the upliftment and development of the community. Your company undertakes several programs and initiatives aimed at empowering people and the vulnerable with a holistic blend of minds, that of ensuring healthy lifestyle and encouraging well-being and development for all. ESG, the sustainability of the company and its operation is our topmost priority, and ESG concept and framework outlines our stepping stone for the future. We will diversify and indulge into practices that would make our units most sustainable ingredient provider in the company. Our aim is to be complete ingredient provider for industries we cater to. We believe that our product offering can be an end-to-end solution for the food, pharma, feed industry. With, with this thought in mind, we are positioned for today and prepared for tomorrow. The future of the company looks very exciting. With an experience of over 30 years in the food processing industry, we are diversifying into fermentation industry, alcohol and ethanol, and specialized fermented products that the country has never seen. The company is going to invest about 1,000 crores in this segment. We would also be expanding our maize processing division to become 6,000 TPD in the coming years, making the company the largest corn millers in Asia outside China. Our way forward is committed to increase our shareholders' value along with providing a stable and sustainable growth for all our stakeholders. The company will achieve its set targets in the due course and make sure it always works in the best interest of the society and the nation. In the end, I would like to take this opportunity to express my sincere gratitude to all our people, customers, vendors, shareholders, stakeholders who have shown a strong belief in the company. We work relentlessly to give back to them and make sure GAEL is reaching new milestones year on year. Thank you and have a wonderful day. Now I would request Mr. N. Girdhar, CFO, to give insight on financial numbers and related overview for FY 21-22. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman, sir. Good morning to all shareholders who are. Good morning to all the shareholders who are present for this virtual AGM proceedings. I take this opportunity to run through and give a brief financial overview as far as the year 21-22 is concerned. The detailed annual report already I just run through the brief highlights about the performance of 21-22. The revenue was marginally lower as compared to last year, mainly impacted by significant growth in the maize processing segment by almost around 35% and a drop in the solvent agro processing segment by around 30% due to international sluggish market conditions. And our maize processing segment revenue grew from almost 1958 crores to 2644 crores by around 35% growth we had in that. The best year in terms of EBITDA earnings, around 741 crores at a percentage of around 16% of our revenue. Again, in terms of the PAT, profit after tax, the best margins are around 10%, contributing around 475 crores during the year as compared to 338 crores last year. Our growth in the maize segment was the best as far as almost around 24% EBITDA margin contributed in the overall the EBITDA contribution of 21-22. Our ratios also proved a better picture as compared to 2021. Our return on equity stood at 22% as compared to 20%. Our return on capital employed were around 30% compared to 27% in the previous year. And our net worth almost around 500 crores growth, around 2,127 crores as compared to 1665 crores last year. Our debt almost negligible. We have only around 2.6 crores of long-term debt, and since we have a lower debt, we have a very the best ratio in terms of debt equity, very insignificant. And this year dividend per share was around 65 paise as compared to 60 paise last year, and debt to EBITDA is also very negligible since we do not have any long-term debt. Evolution of GAEL, how we started our 1988 and how we have grown to 2022. (1988) was a small trading business in the edible oil segment, and we set up our solvent plants in 1991. And in 1994, we set up our cotton spinning facilities at Himatnagar, Gujarat, and first maize plant at Himatnagar. Again, we had an expansion at Kadi, and also the new agro processing plant set up at Pitampur. And in 1998, we consolidated and amalgamated all the three companies into one flagship company in Gujarat, Ambuja, and we set up a new agro processing plant at Akola in 2004. And again in 2008, the growth as far as the maize segment started in a significant way, having a maize plant at Uttarakhand. And in 2009, we set up agro processing plant at Mysore. And again, we expanded our maize processing capacities in Hubli in 2013, in Chalisgaon in 2018, and we started expanding and also added more derivatives facility in 2020. We set up, as a backward integration, we set up a HDB back plant in Himatnagar, and of course in 2022 we have set up a major growth plans in of course, starting our greenfield project in Malda, and also capacity expansions and derivative facility in Uttaranchal and Hubli. We have our pan-India manufacturing location presence in states of Gujarat, Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, Uttaranchal, Karnataka, and of course we are also setting our footprints in West Bengal. We have in presence in all the directions, north, east, south, and west. Our capacities, 5,000 tons per day maize processing. Solvent crushing, we have around 4,000 tons per day. Refinery capacity around 1,200, and we have around 65,500 spindles in spinning division in Gujarat. You would see a growth of almost around 9% CAGR growth for last 7 years, and present turnover being around 4,670 crores in 2022. Likewise, EBITDA and PAT also have grown considerably over 7 years, 23% CAGR growth in EBITDA, and 28% growth of PAT in the current year over a span of around 7 years. Segmental performance, just to briefly run through all our major segments. Maize processing, again we have done around 1,957 crores, and EBITDA margin around 623 crores, and the margin is around 32% in the financial year 22. Agro processing, again 2,578 crores, 153 crores of EBITDA, and around 6% of EBITDA margin. Yarn, we have done a marginal performance as compared to other two major segments, around 162 crores of revenue and around 4% of margin, and EBITDA is around 6 crores. As far as quantitative information is concerned, we have done around 8.5 lakh tons of maize grinding, all the plants put together. We have done around 1,92,000 tons of seed crushing and also oil refining in our agro processing segment. And with respect to the industries and segments, what we are serving the respective segments, maize processing, the contribution, the industries where we are contributing is around 26% to cattle feed, 29% to food and confectionery, and around 15% to healthcare and pharmaceuticals. Oil industries on 19% being the major the industries segments where we are serving. As far as agro processing is concerned, oil, the end use would be around almost 56%, healthcare and pharmaceuticals, and food and confectionery around 24%, chemicals and cattle feed contributing other contributions as far as agro processing is concerned. Some of our growth plans for the current, the coming year, we have around 100 TPD greenfield maize processing plant, as already we have highlighted in Malda. We are also going to set up a 100 TPD sorbitol plant at Hubli, Karnataka and Uttaranchal. 1000 TPD expansion and derivative facilities in Uttaranchal. A brief outline about our financial and operational performance. Thank you so much. I again hand over back to Manishji.
Thank you, Girdharji. And now onwards, the businesses of the meeting. As the notice is already circulated to members, I take the notice conveying the meeting as read. Auditor's report. Further, the statutory auditor's report and the secretarial auditor's report does not contain any qualification, observation or comments on financial statement FY ended 31st March 2022. Hence, the same are not required to be read at the meeting. Now I place before the members the below ordinary businesses items as specified in the notice. Item number 1. To review, consider and adopt audited financial statement, including audited consolidated financial statement of the company for the financial year ended 31st March 2022 and the reports of the board of directors and the auditors thereon for the financial year ended 31st March 2022. Item number 2. To declare final dividend on equity shares for the financial year 2021-2022. Item number 3. To appoint a director in place of Mr. Sandeep Agarwal, holding DIN number 000272444, who retires by rotation and being eligible offers himself for reappointment. Item number 4. To consider and approve appointment of Messrs. Kantilal Patel and Company, Chartered Accountants, firm registration number 104744W, as statutory auditors of the company to fix their remuneration. Now I place before the members the below special businesses items as specified in the notice. Rectification of remuneration of cost auditors for FY 22-23. Item number 6. Change in the object clause of the memorandum of understanding of the company. The above item are explained in the detailed explanatory statement forming part of the notice. I now request Chetna to take the proceedings forward.
Thank you, sir. Question answers part. We have received questions in advance from few members, which will be answered by Chairman, sir. First member, Mr. Dhruv Galada from Chennai. His questions are, company has floated resolution for upcoming AGM for entering into commercial agriculture. Reason for entering into such commercial agriculture and reason for passing of such resolution.
Thank you. So, the company intends to do contract farming in a small way and demonstration farming for our corn products, because we want to experiment different varieties of corn to achieve better yields, to educate farmers which corn to produce and what will give better yields. So basically this is not going to suffice our requirement for corn, but this is more to do with the demonstration and contract farming in small places around our factories and establishments where we are.
What's the timeline and what are the operational milestones we should be looking at to judge the performance in this new commercial agriculture business segment?
So I think this agriculture is more to do with, to help us understand the crops better, understand the yields better. So we would start this on an immediate basis from the next Rabi crop, and we need not be gaining too much on financials and profit from this, but this is more to help us understand the crop patterns and yields and different varieties of corn which we grow in around factories.
How quickly can the Malda capacity be scaled up to high utilization levels once it is commissioned, given the demand outlook for the maize processing division?
Yeah, so Malda, once it commences production, ramp up the capacity does not take time. It's a fully automated plant. We expect first 3 to 6 months capacity utilization of 50 to 60%, and thereon we expect to ramp up to 80%.
Thank you, sir. Now I request the moderator to unmute the members in sequence of the name who have registered themselves as speaker. Speaker members are requested not to repeat the questions which are already answered. Mr. Vaibhav Barjatia from Gurgaon.
Hello. 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 Can you hear me, sir?
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks a lot for providing the opportunity. So I have already submitted my list of questions. So do you have them in front of you?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah. So great if you can answer them. I don't have anything else to say. Apart from that, great if you can answer them point by point. That's it from my side.
Okay, thank you. I will try to answer most of them. Some of them are repetitive. So the question is, what is your assessment of competitiveness of Indian maize versus other countries in recent times? Can you please provide price comparison on FOB? So India is competitive. To answer this question, compared to other countries, we are at par with the international market, sometimes below, sometimes higher. Indian maize is competitive. Indian products are competitive. Indian finished products are competitive. So, comparison on a FOB basis keeps on changing from time to time, from demand and supply. So, the question, how for a long time Indian maize was priced higher than, it's a good question. The Indian maize was priced a bit higher compared to the other maize, but you can see when the Indian maize was priced a bit higher, we were very strong in the domestic market. Since the time the Indian maize prices are competitive to the international markets, our exports have grown drastically in the last 2 years, and now maize is an international commodity. It was an international commodity, and the crops in India are growing for maize. So we think the Indian maize will more or less be in line with the international market going ahead. Shipping disturbances we have seen in the pandemic. There have been advantages due to the shipping disturbances from China, but now it's more or less settled. I don't think there is any major shipping issues now. Major countries we export to, we have mentioned already, we export to major close to 75 countries. Major from them would be Southeast Asia, Africa, and mainly Southeast Asia and Africa. Ethanol expansion, I've already mentioned, alcohol and ethanol expansions, which is going to happen during the course of next year. What is the percentage of sales for value-added products? Our value-added products is almost in the range of 30 to 35% of our maize processing division. We have seen there's another question. We have seen company entering its own branded product business. Can you explain the long-term plan? Our plan is very clear. We will put full emphasis on the brand. We have recreated now, and in the edible oil segment, soya flour, soya buddy, soya chunks, we will put full emphasis. And investment required, we will be investing not very major, because we have all the facilities available. It will be the amount which we're going to spend on the brand building, which will not very significant, but we will be putting full emphasis. Thank you. There's one more question. Can you please provide comparison of storage warehousing capacity of maize division with our competitors? We have, I don't know the competitors' exact numbers, but we have storage facilities across our plants close to 500,000 tons of maize storage, which I think our competitors don't have by significant numbers. Yes, so we've completed. Next speaker.
Mr. G.R. Balaji from Chennai. Okay. Mr. Kamraj Senthil Manikandan from Salem.
Hello. So, good morning, sir. Am I audible? Hello.
Yeah. So I'll try to answer your questions, Mr. Kamraj. Maize processing. With the completion and expansion of Uttarakhand 1000 TPD next year, the company would have 6000 TPD of maize processing. So by when the company plans to attain peak capacity utilization? But on completion of Sitarganj, we will be 5000 ton capacity, and by adding another 1000 ton, we will be 6000. So mostly, I think 6000 ton per day capacity is the target for the next few years. Your question: is the margins sustainable in the maize processing division? Margins do keep fluctuating. We have seen the range of the maize processing division of margins being between 12 to 25%. I think in between somewhere is the range which is sustainable in the times to come. Share of derivatives for overall sale of the starch division, I have already answered this question. It's about 30 to 35%. The capacity of derivative is also between about 40 to 45%. The installed capacity of all derivatives put together. Investments in ethanol. We have already outlined the investments in ethanol, and the details are already there. B2C, FMG, B2C, we have already investment plan. We are basically B2C in the maize division, and we continue to add customers year on year on the FMG companies, FMCG companies.
Mr. Vishal Prasad from Bengaluru.
Hi, good morning. So, a lot of questions were
Yes.
answered. So, whatever is not answered, I'll try to ask. So, Ambuja go-to brand, what's the revenue for FY22? Am I audible?
Sir, a little bit louder.
Is it better?
Yes.
Okay. So, a lot of questions you have already answered. So, I'll try to ask the
Okay.
questions.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, our Ambuja go-to brand, what's the revenue in FY22?
What was the question? Can you repeat, please?
Our Ambuja brand, which is there, where we sell oil and all. So, what's the revenue in FY22?
The Ambuja oil we sell of about 1000 crores annually. Put all the Ambuja brands put together, in which we market all the products under Ambuja brand. We sell about 1000 crores close to.
Okay. Second question is on the fermented products. So, you have outlined that there will be 1000 crore capex that
Sir,
we are doing.
your voice is breaking. Sir, can you repeat, please?
The fermented products that we are doing the capex. So it's a 1000 crore capex. So how we are planning to fund it? Is it through internal
Sir, you are
accruals
not
or?
clearly audible, please.
So if I understood your question, you're asking about the fermentation and how much is going to be the capex and how we are going to fund it. Is it is
Yes,
the
yes.
So the funding as of now is going to be all from internal accruals. This plan is for the next 2 years, and the business is going to be fermentation from corn wet milling, corn and other grains, and these products have already, as I mentioned, have not been produced in India, so they're going to be totally new products.
And last question, sir, what's the expected revenue out of this fermentation capex?
I think we will have a revenue of in excess of 1500 crores from the entire investments we do in the next 2 years.
Okay, sure. Thank you so much.
Mr. Saurabh Jain from Mumbai.
Yes, sir. Am I audible?
Yes.
Good morning, sir. Hope you're doing well.
Good morning.
So, sir, my first question is, so now that if I see the international corn prices, so they've started falling from the highs which we had seen few months back. So I just wanted to understand how does the export scenario and export margin change in this kind of situation for us as well as for India? And, can the margins for maize processing be impacted because of this?
Yeah, there is always going to be some change in the margins. Margins cannot be always stable or at one number. Yes, the international prices of corn have started to soften internationally, which is a good sign. As a manufacturer, we always want soft prices of maize. Indian maize prices have been stable. The Indian maize prices have been stable throughout this rally of international maize prices. Now that the international maize prices have come down, India is still stable, so there is no major change in the Indian corn prices. The rupee has helped us overcome given us a push in the exports further, since the rupee has depreciated close to 3 to 4% in the last 1 or 2 months.
So, sir, in that case, if I see your margins for maize processing in first quarter, they've almost now come back to 14-15% levels. So, this reduction in margins, is it entirely due to this export situation, or were there also some other factors?
So it's a combination of everything. The corn prices in India, which were much lower in the last quarter, rose in the first quarter. The international demand has been stable. Fuel prices have contributed a big reduction in the margins, which is if the fuel prices have now started to come down, which had peaked in the month of April and May. So fuel consumption is a big contributor to the margin drop, which you are seeing from in the range of 15% from last what we saw. So as I have said before, we have to be prepared for margins to be in the range of 12 to 20%. So we have to always look in that range.
Sure, sir. I'll move on to my next set of questions. So the number which I have for your derivatives as percentage of revenue since last 3 4 years has remained at this 30 35% as percentage of your maize revenue.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we have been investing a lot behind it. So, do you have any targets to increase this to maybe say 40 50% or even higher of your maize revenue, or do you think this will always remain at say 30 35%?
It's a good question. It's a chicken and egg, which comes first. We keep increasing our grind capacity, and we have to, and the derivative has to follow. So, as we increase our grinding capacity, the derivative capacity, there's a lag behind. So, accordingly, the percentages always remain between 30 to 35%. But I think going ahead, after our all grinding expansions are completed, the focus is going to be on downstream value-added products, which will increase this share to maybe 45% in the near future.
Sure, sir. And some related questions to this again. So, can you quantify what kind of margin difference is there in a, say, normal starch product and a normal value-added product? And also, if you can elaborate, how volatile are the margins in the maize derivatives, or are the margins much more stable in the derivative products?
Yes, the margins are more stable in the derivative products. Um, how much is the margin in starch and derivatives? We don't really specify the numbers, but on as you've seen, we have, if you see the last 5 to 7 years performance, we have been in the range of 12 to 20%. So we have to focus that range and look at that range. And of course, if more derivatives are sold, we will be in the higher upper band, and if less is sold, we will be in the lower band.
Sure, sir. So my next set of question is about HFCS. So I think in the last 2 3 years AGM, you've been mentioning about your plan of entering this segment and trying to get the licenses. But if you can mention what is the status behind this, and do you think the sugar industry will ever allow HFCS to become a reality in India?
Yeah, it's a good question. We are ready with the product line. We are already using that machines for some other product manufacturing. So the plant is ready. The sugar industry, the prices have been lower side, and the our finish for our buy for our derivative other products which we are using in that facility are selling at much higher price. So at the moment, the HFCS commercially it is still not very viable. We have better opportunities. Whether we have the licenses, the permissions there, those are all in place. There is no restriction for now the industry to use HFCS, which is already being used in small way. So as and when there is a demand, we will be ready to supply.
Sure, sir. So my next set of question is about your ethanol projects. So, if you can mention, you have already mentioned the kind of investments you are planning to do, but if you can, also elaborate more on what kind of revenue are you expecting from these projects, and also what can be a range of margins in the ethanol, the EBITDA margins, if you can elaborate about that.
So I think the ethanol projects, we are going to put two at the moment. We are still evaluating on the exact capacities, but we expect the margins. It will also depend on the feedstock, so it's very difficult to quantify exact numbers, but should be in the range between 10 to 12%.
Sure. And by when do you think the plants will start contributing to revenue, and
So I
when
think
will it
first
start?
plant will still take about 12 months from now, and the second plant will be around 15 to 16 months from now. We have just got the permission at Hubli, so we will start putting the plant there first, and thereafter at Malda once we have the permission, and at Chalisgaon. So we are trying to not be an only ethanol. We are trying to mix with alcohol, so it should be a blend. So we have more flexibility and not dependent only on the ethanol mandate of Government of India. So our
Sure.
plan is a bit different from others, just being an ethanol player.
Sure, makes sense. So my next set of question is about your agro processing or the edible oil business. So in the last 2 3 years AGM, you have always mentioned that your goal is to keep investing more towards the maize processing segment. So, but in this year's annual report, there soon seems to be some change of strategy in terms of say starting to invest again behind the agro processing in terms of B2C. So, if you can mention what led to this change in capital allocation, and uh, what kind of future investments are you targeting behind this?
Yeah, so it's not a change in capital investments. We are going to allocate few a small budget towards that, but the plan is to be in the B2C segment and be more visible. We've always been there, but it's not that we've been visible enough. So we want to increase the value of stakeholders and make sure what we sell is properly sold as a brand. So, and we are quite hopeful that with this good monsoon this year, the agro processing division, which has been flat for the last few years, will do good. And the policies of the government is also to increase the oil seed production. So overall, with the capacities in place, we are having huge capacities in place. As we have the opportunities, we will manufacture at full capacity, and with exports also likely to open up in this October November season, with international prices increasing in soya beans and the Indian prices coming down. We are hopeful to uh, export also soybean meal in a very big way this year going ahead.
Sure, sir. So, next set of question I have is from the recent quarter, the Q1 results which you released yesterday. If I see your revenue from spinning division, that has reduced to almost 5 crores, which used to be 62 crores in the last quarter. So, do you have any plans to maybe shut down this division, or what led to this sudden reduction in revenue, if you can
So we
mention?
didn't have any plans. We don't have any plans as of now to shut down. It's just we took stock that the cotton prices has reached at very high levels, and the margins on spinning had reduced drastically. There was too much of fluctuation in the cotton prices, and the demand for cotton yarn dropped drastically. So we took a stock. Instead of losing money, we decided we will take a stock and close down for some time. So we have again restarted, and hopefully things will be better in the times to come. We are not we are trying to just make balance between what feedstock to run and how we can remain in the green.
Sure, sir. And sir, in the presentation, you were mentioning that you have plans to enter the fermentation-based products. So, if you can highlight what kind of products are we initially planning to target? So, if you can elaborate more about that.
So we will not exactly disclose what items are we going to, what products are we going to make, but we are going to diversify in fermentation industry. Fermentation is a big industry. India is not very big in that. We have going to collaborate with people from overseas, and we think there is a huge scope. There's a lot of imports happening in the fermentation business and products into India. So we want to manufacture things which are not yet being manufactured and are being imported to replace and become Atmanirbhar in the years to come. So it's a step towards that, and we think we will be successful in the coming times.
Okay, and then in the recent interview, you had mentioned that you have plans to reach 10,000 crores top line in next few years. So what kind of investments are you will that require to reach that kind of scale? And what have you seen any change in the business maybe environment which gives you this kind of confidence?
Yeah, so our agro processing division is not performed. It has huge potential to perform. From 2,500 crores, we expect it to become 5,000 crores. The maize processing division, where all the investments are happening, we expect that to also become plus 5,000 crores. So 10,000 crores, as mentioned in few days back, our goal is set to achieve by 2025.
Sure, sir. And last is a request from my side. So, in last few AGMs, a lot of investors have been requesting you to at least start with investor presentations, if not the con call. So, can you please start at least releasing investor presentations, if not quarterly, maybe once in 6 months? That will be really very helpful.
Yes, your point is taken, and thank you for uh, asking relevant questions, and thank you once again.
Thank you, Mr. Jain. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone, for joining this meeting. The voting lines will remain open for up to 30 minutes for those members who were not able to cast their votes through remote e-voting. With this, I announce the closure of the proceedings of this 31st AGM of the company. Thank you, everyone. Wishing you all a good and healthy life. Thank you.
Thank you.